Welcome everyone, and Cambria Cove Apartments. So it is in Houston, and we are going to have. Before the presentation, I would like to go about Tirukural, and most of you are Tamil, but some of you may not know Tamil. And one of my co-presenters, Raj, to an extent only, he probably knows Tamil, I think. அரண் ஈனும் இன்பமும் ஈனும் திறன் அறிந்து தீதின்றி வந்த பொருள். The wealth acquired through fair means brings virtue and happiness. சேர்க்கும் திறம் அறிந்து தீமை ஒன்றும் இல்லாமல் சேர்க்கப்பட்டு வந்த பொருள் ஒருவனுக்கு அறத்தையும் கொடுக்கும், இன்பத்தையும் கொடுக்கும். ஸோ இது ஒரு யாரையும் கஷ்டப்படுத்தாம நம்ம அப்பார்ட்மெண்ட்ல போட்டு நிறையா நம்ம பணத்தை சேர்த்து நம்ம சீக்கிரமாக ரிட்டையர் ஆனோம்னா நமக்கு ஒரு அறத்தின் வழியாக பொருள் சேர்த்த மாதிரியும் இருக்கும். அதே மாதிரி அது நம்மளுக்கு ஒரு இன்பத்தையும் ஹாப்பினஸையும் கொடுக்கும். யூ கேன் லிவ் யுவர் லைஃப் ஆன் யுவர் டேர்ம்ஸ் அண்ட் யூ கேன் லிவ் த பெஸ்ட் லைஃப் பாசிபிள் and take the money out of the equation, right? That's the most important thing. Otherwise, we will be working for money, and once you start earning enough, then right now Raj is ready to retire and probably resign from his job, and Jack, another partner, he has just recently resigned from his job as well. So I hope all of you will come to that kind of a state pretty soon. Wish you all the best. And with that said, so recently I have started an LLC called Sasta Realty Capital, and we are bringing quite a few opportunities for our investors, and at a time at least 2 or 3 opportunities will be open sometimes. And right now there are 3 opportunities open. And we also have signed up with the Syndication Pro, and that is where you will be logging in to subscribe and everything. So it is going to be very convenient for you to look at your K1s and the amount of investment and what are the things that are open, and also the documents like PPM and everything. You will be able to go and review it without me having to send it by email and things like that. So I'm pretty excited about that. And now meet the team. And Jack Adovo is, I think I'm doing flats at 2030. He's the main sponsor, and Amarillo Square, and then Seabrook, and this is the 4th one. And Raj is actually Seabrook. He's the main sponsor. That is in Houston, and that's a beautiful property. It is doing well. And now I would like to invite Raj to introduce himself, and then I will proceed next. Raj.
Thank you, Velu. Thank you so much. Guys, I really want to thank you guys. On a Sunday afternoon, you guys are spending time with us, and we'll make sure that information is useful and your night is well spent. But more importantly, we are grateful that you are able to join this webinar. Thank you so much. With that, I started my journey 10 years ago in real estate. Of course, back in those days, we were having financial crunch due to mortgage fallout. So I was looking for a different way of investing other than just going with a regular traditional stock market, which gives you 6 to 7% a year. So discovered real estate is the way to go. So started with single family, then bought a couple of commercial shopping centers. Then we bought a 200-unit apartment complex, and within a year and a half, we sold it for profit. Of course, had we kept it, it would have been a different story now. But Texas, by large, all cities of Texas have been growing so fast. So property values have skyrocketed everywhere. So with that said, I've been GP in all my deals. This is our 4th deal in Houston. all with Jack, and then I have closed one just by myself in Jacksonville, Florida. So I have properties in Florida and here in um, Houston. Jack has, like Veli was mentioning, Arizona. He has single family homes in Idaho and Utah, and then Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston. So that's our team. Thank you so much, Velu.
Thank you, Raj. And both of these guys are pretty successful and they're going big. And so it is good for us. And they are able to have a lot of resources to be able to support our projects. And I'm pretty excited to partner with them again. So about myself. So top producing realtor and broker. And I'm just so happy to say that because I never thought I can become an independent business owner and good in sales and all that. But what happened is financial independence is what I wanted to go for. And I started investing in real estate from 2007. And at some point of time, I had about 10 homes. And I met with Brad Sumrock in Tony Robbins' event. And he was actually helping with the fire walk. He was in the fire crew. And I took a long time to join him. And now I'm the personal coaching student for him. And based on the learnings from there, I liquidated all the money and then started putting into the multifamily. And once you wouldn't believe that the first one, 17 months, even though they said in 5 years they'll give me 100%, in 17 months, I got 170% return. For $49,000 of investment, I got $137,000 in about 17 months. Then that really broke, all the records. And then I said, man, this is the way to go. Then I started pursuing it more and more. And of course, that particular deal, I have even posted it in, with the checks and everything, I posted it on Facebook and all that about a couple of maybe 2-3 years ago. And now in the last 2 years, I have co-sponsored more than 6 multifamily deals, 2 industrial warehouse, and tomorrow we are investing about $1.25 million in hedge fund, an unbundled hedge fund as well. And that is, about $12 million in about less than 2 years. That is what is the record which I have been able to create. And in spite of COVID, all of them are doing really well. And I'm also a life coach and an entrepreneur. I call myself as a real estate entrepreneur and no more a realtor or, whatever it is. And of course, if you need any consulting, I will do it for free for you guys. And 15 years of total real estate investment experience. And even before coming here in Coimbatore in India, I used to South India West Coast Towers I was overseeing that as a manager. I was in the construction company as a HR manager. Still, I wanted to have some experience. So I have invested in more than 2,000 units. I think right now it looks like maybe 2,500 to 3,000 units, because some of the apartments are like I have invested, they're about 400, 500 units actually. And of course, I'm a active director of STF nonprofit organization. I spend at least about 10 to 20% of my time for charity, or a little bit more if you take my life coaching for free to people in India. I give at least about 5 to 10 hours a month as well. So that is about myself. And let us jump into the housekeeping and disclaimers. And questions, type them in the QA or the chat box. We'll answer them during the Q&A. And you will receive a recording of the webinar in about 24 hours time. And all numbers shown are estimates and subject to change until closing. This presentation is an informational summary and does not constitute an offer or a solicitation to purchase securities. An offer can only be made by the private placement memorandum, which will be available to you once you log into the portal. The presentation is not a substitute for an investor's complete review of all the information attached to the PPM as part of their own due diligence regarding this investment opportunity and its suitability for their investment portfolio. So you are welcome to go through the slides and things like that. You can ask questions now or later and do your own due diligence, ask the right questions, and we are there to support you and give you the clarifications. All right, Raj, you can take, I think somebody has started putting it in the Q&A and you can just answer them as well. Legal disclaimer, the information contained in this presentation is considered confidential, intended solely for the individuals to whom it is delivered. The circulation of this document or disclosure of its contents to any other party is expressly prohibited. The information is solely for the use of prospective investors to determine the level of interest in Cambria Cove apartments. While the information contained in this presentation has been compiled from sources we believe to be reliable, neither of the sponsors or their representatives make any representations or warranties as to the accuracy or completeness contained herein. All financial information and projections are provided for reference only and are based on assumptions relating to the general economy, market conditions, and other factors beyond our control. All references to acreage, square footage, and other measurements are approximations and must be independently verified. Prospective investors are encouraged to conduct their own independent due diligence investigation, review financial projections, and consult with their legal, tax, and other professional advisors before making an investment decision. And all we are saying is like we have enough experience and we are using some conservative underwriting methods we learned from Brad Samrock, and that is the spreadsheet. And most of the people, those who have been trained in that, when they follow that properly, we have been doing very well. So that is all I can say right now. Why multifamily? Multifamily is safety and stability. And like whatever happens to restaurant or whatever it is, but still people have to live and people have to pay the rent. Even though during COVID there are certain concessions they have, and that is giving us a little bit of a challenge, but still we are able to manage. Consistent passive income, because there is always a cash flow in there, plus the appreciation is happening. And the appreciation is happening at, say, this one is about $25 million. And think about 2 or 3% appreciation every year. So a portion of it is going to come to you. And what are the tax benefits? I think it is closer to, it could be more than 60 to 70% of depreciation you can get in the first year using accelerated depreciation. I will ask Raj to say the exact one. And right now, the interest rates are at a record low, and we are taking advantage of that. And we are also leveraging the loans, what we are able to take based on our experience. And that is what is really creating the returns for you and for us. And now, Raj, would you like to add anything? Yeah. Raj? Okay.
Hey, Velu, I joined back. I don't know what happened to my computer.
Okay, no problem. So in this slide, okay, Jack also joined, looks like. Hey, Jack.
Hey, Velu. Hey, how are you doing?
Good, good. Would you like to introduce yourself and
Yes,
also say something about this particular slide? Go ahead.
absolutely. Hey, guys. Thank you so much for joining the call tonight. I really appreciate it, you guys joining in to hear more about it. Actually, with this being a Sunday evening, it's family time. So really appreciate you guys coming in tonight. So I'm Jack Haduo. I'm one of the sponsors on this investment, and I'm very excited and feeling very fortunate to be on this deal. I think this deal definitely has its own personality and a lot to be very grateful about. And, I'm sure Velo has shared a number of those with you, and we look forward to sharing them with you. As far as myself, I've been doing real estate investment for about 10 years right now. I started investing in Idaho, and then, investing in Utah, and then invest in Arizona, and I invest in Texas. This is our fourth deal in Houston market, which, explains a lot because we strongly believe in the Houston market. There's a lot of synergy going on, and is one market that you can still find a really, really good deal for a really good price. And that I just give you, comparison. I tried to buy a property in Boise, Idaho, in case you guys know where Boise, Idaho is. It's like a quarter the size of Houston, literally a quarter, actually a tenth the size of Houston, because the population like 700,000 compared to 7 million in Houston. And a C-class is selling for 200K per door. A C-class, built 1971, selling for 200K per door. And here we are in a city that which is 10 times bigger, with a lot of growth going on, and we're buying a property under 16K per door. It just goes to explain why this is a good deal and why the market is great, and why we keep buying more deals in this market, just because we feel very fortunate and lucky to be in an environment where we can still get good deal for really good price.
Yep, thank you, Jack. Yeah, so basically what Jack is saying, that we are buying a A-class property. Usually we do C-class.
Yes.
So which means this one is pretty new, and it has a lot more value, and we are buying it at a much competitive price. And
Yes.
And this particular slide, why multifamily? So if you look at it, percentage of rent payments made in May, June, data collected from between 11.1 to 11.5 million apartment units each month. So basically it is pretty strong in spite of COVID and all that. That is the amount of rent collected. So this is definitely a place that our money is going to be secure. And there is this is an investment summary, and there is going to be, we are planning to give a 8% cash on cash, and that is average. First year it may be lower, because we are going to have some amount of money set aside for as a reserve, 12 months worth of money and all that, and then later on second year it may get distributed. So but overall average cash on cash is going to be 8%. Total return on investment expected conservatively is at 105%, and that is equivalent to 17% IRR and 20% interest, and 50,000 minimum investment. And general partners, we take about 20%, and I am a small partner anyway, and 80% goes to you, and 100% cost segregation and bonus depreciation. I would let equity raise is going to be $5.1 million. Usually for a $25 million, the equity raise could be about $7 to $8 million, including all the capex and all that. But now, we are going with the specific strategy, which we'll explain to you. That is, so when we put less money in there, so more profit is being distributed amongst us. So there is a safety net there as well. So property overview, it is a Class A in 2009 built. Usually, as I said, we used to buy at 1980s built, 85 and all that, Class C. And now Class A is usually, it's beyond our reach, but now, this is, we were able to make it possible because of the experience of the management group. And so that is about it. And then rehab is planned at $639,000. And right now, the rent is about $100 below the market, and it is 95% occupied. Usually it cannot be occupied more than 96, 97 because of the turnovers and all that, so at certain point of time, it is going to be vacant for the units to be made ready and then released and all that. So that means it is almost under a maximum occupancy. Houston multifamily, built on solid fundamentals. And I would ask Raj to explain from here. He's a Houston guy. And of course, when I came to this country, Houston was my port of entry because my sister-in-law lived there, and they were those who sponsored us. Raj, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
So Houston, if you look at traditional over last few years or last few decades, Houston is one of the cities which is recession resistant city. What I mean by that, it is the number large size a city to get into recession, and first to get out of recession. That's been the norm for Houston. And not only that, if you look at the last decade growth, there was almost 1.1 million people came into Houston, and that is again continuing to grow in 2029 as well. And if you look at the VC funding last year, even with the COVID pandemic, it surpassed the 2019 VC funding that received, which means more IT jobs coming to Houston. So Houston also ranks top 10 for IT jobs. Okay. And here in particular, what we are trying to say is um, population growth is there. So one of the philosophies that we invest is to make sure there's a population growth, there's job growth, there's income growth, low crime rate, all those. So Houston fits that bill, and you can see in 2019
Raj? Looks like, all right. So I will pick it up from here. Incredible job growth. I think he has, this slides are going to be available to you for your review as well. Economic diversity, and earlier it used to be dependent on oil, right? Houston, but now not anymore. And gross metropolitan product is 580 billion. And so there is a port in Houston, there is the energy industry, airport system, Texas Medical Center, of course, a lot of people oncology, they go there for the cancer treatments and all that, right? And then NASA Space Center. And now that, yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me,
Yeah,
Velu?
now I can hear you. Go ahead.
Sorry, if you can't hear me, I'm having some internet issues. If
Okay,
you
okay,
can't
no
hear me,
problem.
just type it or whatever, and then I'll know I'm not visible. If you can go back one slide, Velu, I was
Okay, one
explaining there.
second.
Sorry about that, guys.
No problem, no problem.
Just go back one slide.
Yeah,
Just hit the
actually,
back arrow.
um, okay, one slide back. This one, right?
Economic diversity. If you can go there.
Okay.
Just project something and then hit back arrow.
Okay. Oh, it
Right
is
from
not projecting now. Okay, one second. Let me share screen. Go back.
Okay.
Is this
Yeah.
the one?
Yeah. This
Hmm.
is the one. Yeah. Keep it here.
Hmm.
Not sure what's going on with my internet. Okay. Yeah. You can make it a presentation mode. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
This one and the presentation mode.
So if you look at MSA statistics for Houston, of course, Dallas is number one in last quarter, and Houston is number two. So not many people know about that, and it's growing at a healthy pace of 2.5%. Of course, Dallas and Austin have been in the market, news for corporate relocations, but Houston has its own slew of corporate relocation as well, and it's actually attracting more smaller companies than Austin or Dallas. So anyway, the other thing I want to call out is for the young adults, a lot of people wanting to move to Houston because of the cost of living index. Yeah, next slide, please.
Okay.
Okay, so if you look at to the left-hand side bottom bullet point, what I was saying was Houston has second, number two in corporate headquarters. It has 50 of the Fortune 1,000 companies call it home. Their Houston has their home. Only next to New York. Not many people may know this. And of course, we already talked about millennials. It's number one for millennials moving into Houston area. And of course, economic growth, job growth is all there in all Texas City. Houston is no different. Of course, it's number one in highest average salaries. starting salaries. Next slide.
Okay.
So here the Houston may be known for energy capital, but Houston is well diversified. We will talk in next two slides about that, the economic diversification of city of Houston. If you look to the left-hand side, Port of Houston is ranked number 1 for U.S. foreign tonnage. As you might know, Panama Canal took an expansion. Um, Panama Canal runs between two hills. They blast her open so that the super tankers can get through Panama Canal. That saves fuel costs going into California. So this has pushed Houston to rank number 1 for foreign tonnage. So we're getting tons of Port of Houston jobs. And the next one is the energy. We have 4,500 farms in the region. 42% of the petrochemical capacity is in Houston. And if you go to the airport system, we are ranked number 10, carrying about 58 million passengers. Of course, Texas Medical Center, world's largest medical complex by far. And then NASA, you recently witnessed 2 astronauts going into the space, International Space Station, and making it back, which has rekindled, revitalized the NASA area altogether. So we are, we host several programs in Houston. Next slide, please. So if you look at the right-hand side, you will see manufacturing is 7% and upstream energy is 2%. So about 9% is all we're talking about when we talk about oil. So the rest, if you look at it, the top 3 makes it trade, transportation, and utilities, and business services and government. Those make the top 3 for the employment in Houston. So Houston, what this tells you is Houston is not dependent on any specific specific industry. Next slide, please. So we talked about the Texas Medical Center. It's even going to get even bigger. There's almost $3 billion in construction projects, and 50 million developed square feet is being added to the Texas Medical Center. We have about 10 million annual patient visits, about 180,000 annual surgeries. It's the 8th largest business district in the US. Total employees are about 110. It's going to grow by another 30,000 with this new infusion of $3 billion and nearly 10,000 patient beds.
Okay.
Next slide, please. Yeah, to top it off, the Houston KPIs, Houston has seen tremendous growth, about 39% in median household income, and about 124 in terms of median household value, home values. And then it's a low crime city, and cost of living is extremely cheap, which makes it a very attractive city for a lot of the professionals to come and have a good standard of living. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jack. He's going to talk about the property itself.
Jack, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me now? Is that
Yes.
better?
Yes.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Raj. Hey, guys, as you can tell, I think definitely, we are very fortunate to be in a market, really, really strong market. And, one thing I like to tell people is that you always got to choose your battles, right? When you come to, acquiring apartment, you got to know what you can influence and what you cannot. One thing is location. You cannot change the location. So the best thing you can do for yourself is to choose a property in a location that meets your criteria. It has to be a location of, great population growth, high increase in income, increase in employment rate, low crime rate, extremely important, low crime rate. And with us, we've gone further. Right now, we're exclusively focusing only on A class and B class assets in A class and B class locations, so that there can be that set criteria and expectation in terms of where to expect our assets. I think we bought our fair share of C class assets, and some of them have been great, most of them have been great, but it come with a lot of headache and everything. And if we can get an asset that's newer, less headache, less risky, and you get the same return or maybe slightly less return, I'm sure a lot of you guys would rather go for something which is less risky and provide similar return to what you get in a C class. So we're very glad that this property is. I don't expect future property to give the same return as this. I think we're very lucky on this deal. And so as you look at it, don't expect next A-class deal will bring you to be, like this. I expect to be maybe less, most likely going to be less. Just because the market's getting harder, everybody's moving to Houston and everybody's getting to know Houston. There used to be days when we would talk about, other markets like Dallas. This property in Dallas would cost a lot more in Dallas. But, we feel very fortunate that, we came to Houston at the right time to get the property at the right price. So as Raj also indicated, when you look at the property itself, being 2009 garden style class A, this is a Cove plus class A. And I'll go that in detail next few slides, why we call it a Cove plus class A. It has a lot of opportunity, rent growth being the biggest one. And like I indicated, we cannot change the location. And so because we cannot change the location, we're going to look for property in those locations that we admire and we aspire. And this is one of them. As you can tell, in terms of the growth market, according to CoStar, this is one of the top 3 fastest rent growth market in the Houston MSA, which means, when they talk about rent growing in Houston, this is the market they're going in. When you narrow it down to the Willowbrook submarket, which is this property is, they had 3% rent increase last year. I mean, in the middle of COVID-19, they still had 3% rent increase. And over the last 12 months, or rather, over the last 24 months, they've had a 26% rent increase. So this place is growing. And you can tell, as Raj showed, you get companies like HP that are moving to town. A lot of companies are relocating to this place. It's only about 5 miles or so from the Springwood Village Master Plan Community Development. That's where HP is coming. That's where the ExxonMobil headquarters is, among other things going on. And so, this is the side of town which is experiencing a lot of big boom. There's several places that experience big boom, but this is just one of them. Of course, in terms of the neighborhood, the property is a great location. It's mostly surrounded by single family, which is what we love. When you're looking for apartment, if you get an apartment whereby it's the only, apartment around the block, it makes it easy for you, which means anybody want to live there, this is the only choice they have. And this property being surrounded mostly by single family makes a big difference. In terms of visibility, it's off a street which has 17,000 cars passing every single day. I think that makes a big difference when you have 17,000 cars passing by you every single day.
Okay.
Next slide. I'll try to make it quick. So as far as the property features, this is the amenities that property provide. Because of the class of the property, this is some of the amenities provide. I just want to point out, we did not list everything it provides. We just list things that we think is valuable to show to you, but it provides more than what you see here. And that's very key because of the class it is, the kind of demographic it's trying to target. You have to be able to provide a lot more, for your demographic. And as you can tell, it's a good mix of, studios, 1 and 2s, which is very key. Good number of covered parking, really good number, and we plan on maximizing on the covered parking revenue. Okay. Okay, so here's some of the pictures of the property. As you can tell, we have a gym, we have a lounge, which is very, if you ever go to this property, it's very, very welcoming. You walk into the leasing office is attached to the lounge, the resident lounge that is, and the ambience, the environment, the customer service, everything is just amazing. And it's been a true experience, for anybody who goes there. And these more pictures of the exterior of the property. Okay. So as far as a business plan is concerned, so is some of the things we plan on doing on this asset. One thing I just want to point out, because this is a core plus asset, which means it's an A class that has a little bit of value-added component to it. It's built in 2009. It's not built in 2015. So, all those 10 years, there's been room to grow. Things changes. For example, technology package, which one of the things we plan on doing. It was not like popular back in 2009. It was probably not even there, but now it's a big thing. And it's a very light value-add, amenities that you can add to the tenants to give them the best experience, And so all these things we're trying to do are very light. Core plus idea is that you are buying a property which is stable, well-performing asset. You're just coming in and doing light value add to just, squeeze a little extra juice out of it. And that's what we're trying to do in this case. Just squeeze a little extra juice out of it by adding very light upgrade. The good news is that the things we are trying on this property have already been done by the tenants already, by the seller already. So it's not like we're trying something new or a new concept or anything. About 20 units have already been upgraded by the seller, and they're getting over $100 in rent credit and rent premium already. So it's not like when we say we're going to increase rent by $100, we think that's what we think we're going to get. It's not what we think we're going to get. It's whatever the seller are doing. And we've gone and seen exactly what they're doing, and we're simply coming in and rinse and repeat.
Yeah. So
yes.
So who is driving?
So yeah. So I'm here. My brother's driving.
Okay. Cool.
So
yeah,
So yes. So I can talk. Yeah. So so everything we're going to do are basically things that have already been shown by seller that is achievable. We're simply coming in and picking up from where they're living and take the next level. The good news about this also being a core plus, because it's a performing, stabilized asset, is that we're not required to do this, value add in order for the property to make profit. The property is going to make the profit anyway. When you look at our underwriting, for example, year one, we are assuming that we're only going to earn the same amount that the seller is getting today, and yet we're basically are still able to achieve profit, even if we just use T12 income, which is basically what we're doing because of the COVID-19 underwriting. So definitely there's a lot of room to grow in terms of opportunities, but even if we don't achieve those opportunities, this property will still be able to profit. And that's what makes it very attractive.
Yeah. So yeah, by adding, not only the rent, but the more revenue, the more net operating income, the more value for the
yes.
property, more profit. So these are all the interior upgrades and exterior upgrades. He has already explained quite a bit. And we are adding an extended patio, and then we're going to charge, and locker package we are going to do, and then we're going to charge. Dog park, of course, it's going to be free. Self-storage, we're going to charge. And, of course, improve the curb appeal and landscape and more pool furnitures. Add a pergola and grilling station, revamp the brand website and the marketing. And of course, on the left side, interior upgrades, media package is going to be charged, technology package. And so this is the CapEx. And then we will also be able to see some CapEx budget. What's happening? Do we have to? Okay, so that's about $650,000. So we have given a breakup as well. And if you really look at where we are with respect to rental comms, it actually, we are at the red actually, right? So we have a lot more room to grow, and that is what is going to help us realize our profit. And if you really see that, we are saying that we may be able to achieve it in 3 years to 5 years. So aggressive goal is 3 years. So Raj or Jack,
Yeah,
who would like to talk about? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, sure. So if you look at the left and top graph and you look at the orange, the second bar, orange, that is where we are right now. And if you look at the, yeah, that one, yes, there you go. And if you look at the pro forma rent, this is what we are projecting, the next red bar or orange bar. Yeah, that one, yeah. No, orange one, yeah, that one. So we are projecting, so even with our projection, if you look at the average rent comps, the green line, you see that we're still far below the market value, okay? So the second bar, which is the second from the left, which is the orange bar, that is the present one. And then the same thing with for single bedroom. To the right hand side, same thing. There are two orange bars that are shown. One is the current rents, the other one is the pro forma rents. And you can see it is even with the pro forma rents, we are well below the market rent. So we're not going out there and promising that we will get the market rent. What we are saying is we will go incrementally higher, and even with that, we are much below than the market rents. Same goes to the studio rents to the left bottom corner. Same thing, and it is summarized in the right hand side for the Northwest Houston market. All those graphs. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what
And
is
just
called
wanna point out a key thing on that. I just want to point out very key. If you look at, for example, the 2 bedroom, our pro forma rent, look at that property to the left of our pro forma rent. That property called Fairfield Cove. That property was built in 1985. It's 25 years older than our property, and yet it is getting higher rent than our pro forma rent. You know, people always ask, "Aren't you being too aggressive with your rent? Is that really realistic?" Well, we're just showing you that. Take a look at this. Your property, and actually take a look at the other one next to that. The park at 505. Example, is 30 years old. It's about 30 years old, 1979, and yet they're getting higher rent than what we're projecting. So one of the common questions likely people gonna ask, aren't you being too aggressive with your rent projection? And then I'm gonna show you this and say, explain this to me. You got a property which is 30 years old, does not have the same amenities as our property, and yet you can go to their website today, or you can physically walk to that property, see what their rent they're getting, and you see that they're getting higher rent than what we are. So in case you're wondering, are we being too aggressive? Keep two things in mind. The seller has already shown it that our rent projection is achievable because they already upgrade 20% of the unit and they're achieving that. Secondly, which is more important than that, is that we have physically verifiable properties in this same area, 2-mile radius from this property, that are getting higher rent than what we are, and yet they're older and does not provide the same amenities that we do. Rent is always the biggest elephant in the room, and this one is a very important slide to show you that whatever rent projection we're telling you, we're not just thinking that that's what we think we can get, but it's exactly what other people are getting in that submarket today.
Yeah, that's called conservative underwriting. Sales comms,
that's correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sales comms is another good line, right? All these properties in the same area, there's a cap for, like if you look at the one that, I think I don't remember the name, but there are only 2 or 3 that are not in this submarket. But all the sales comp are in the submarket where this property is. As you can tell based on the age, we're talking about the property same age, similar vintage, in the same submarket, and this is what they actually sold for. So, in case you're wondering, are we getting for good price? Oh, you bet we are, because we have verifiable data of what properties are sold for in that area, and we can clearly show that other properties are sold for way higher price in that market than our property. And so, of course, with this slide, this is basically a slide we like to show to anybody who want to understand the 5-year, gap, the 5-year, not gap, but the 5-year analysis we have on this asset, so you can understand what our projection in each year and what are some assumptions. I just want to point out, as you can see, we highlighted COVID-19 underwriting. We're basically saying for the next 12 months, we're going to add the same rent that the seller has gotten over the last 12 months, even though we know that there's a lot of things we'll be able to maximize and achieve year one, but we want to be conservative and assume that whatever tenant is paying today is exactly what they're going to be paying for the next 12 months, and we're not going to get anything. So how conservative we are with it.
And so it's called conservative underwriting. If you really look at it, like even though we are buying it at 4.4 cap, we say that we will be selling it at 5.5 cap. That means we are underwriting in such a way that what if the market is not as hot as like this, right? Supposing if we are able to sell it at 4.4, then we will be able to make more money as well. And we are assuming only about 2% of rental increase, while it is already increasing at 3 to 6% and all that kind of stuff, right? So, so all this is just to tell you how the underwriting happens. And because of this COVID, this thing, reserves, there will be no returns, cash flow in the first year, but whereas second year, we will be able to distribute that, and then it starts from about 11.6% and all that. And so down payment, it is going to be about $4.3 million. It's actually 15%, 80% loan, and rehab budget is 640, closing cost 713, working capital 252, COVID reserve 200K. That's only for 12 months. After that, it will be distributed. Total equity is $5.1 million. And so term is 3 years, 1 year, and 1 year extension. First 3 years, and then loan 85%. Interest rate is 4.6, and it is interest only for 5 years. So these are all the very attractive terms, which is also making the deal look really good. Why invest in this deal? Location, 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 great location. Class A asset with very strong returns, 2x returns in less than 5 years. As I said, probably in 3 years' time, we may be able to exit, but a worst case scenario at 5 years. And market rents, at least $100 less right now, but we will be able to increase much more with the annual increases that are possible. And there will be tax savings using the cost segregation study. And hopefully, if you guys start experiencing that K1 and you pay less, and then that is going to be a continuous thing, right? Supposing if I have an income of $200,000 and I have a K1 for $200,000, then probably my tax is almost zero. Anyway, you consult your tax consultant of what you can or you cannot do. And experienced and reputable property management company with strong track record in the submarket. And of course, our sponsorship team is also very experienced. And bottom line, again, it is, double your money in, about 5 years' time, and value add property, and there is going to be a lot of tax benefit. Investment timeline, and actually January 20 now, right now, they have already begun, and they have done a webinar themselves, and this is for my investors. We are doing it today. and we would definitely expect the money to be subscribed before March 31st. And my goal is to raise $1 million out of that $5 million. And step one, email. Actually, you can review the documents, and then once you fill out the documents, once we verify it, I will send you the wiring instructions. It is also going to be saved in the portal, and then once you wire the funds, we will be able to send you the executed documents after closing. Right now, how to invest. This is, I'm going to share this. One second. So when you go, I will copy this and then put it in the chat box. And one second. All right. So once you click on that, you may have to register if you go for the first time, and then complete the registration and confirm your account, and it is going to be much more easier for you. And with that, next slide is, let me see. So just take a picture as well. And if you would like to talk to me, you can schedule a time with me using calendly.com/teamvelu, or send me an email. And so financial summary, we already covered it actually pretty much. So one of the things I want to say is the co-sponsors or main sponsors are investing, sponsorship team is investing $500,000 plus. And projected returns. And I would again call Raj or Jack. Would you guys want to say anything about this? Anything different? So if the first year is
So basically, what this is depicting, like if you have put in $100,000, how you are going to get paid year over year. That way, you have a clear picture on how this whole thing is. So it makes it easier for people to know, hey, I put in 100,000. How will I get paid? Right. Of course, this is all conservative estimate. We definitely want to top this, but for projections, this is what we are projecting.
all right. Now, thank you all. And of course, we are going to answer the questions right now. And let me.
So one of the questions, so why the sellers have not increased rent? So one of the reasons why they're not able to raise rents is they have to honor the current lease in place. So if somebody has gone in with a low lease, they have to honor that. The seller has to honor that. So once that cycle completes, then they will start increasing the rents and go from there, right? So that's one of the reasons. And the other thing is, depending upon the amenities that you're going to provide within the apartment, you'll be able to charge rents accordingly. So there are classic units. So classic units, again, if you add the technology package, you are getting $50 more, and a few other interior decorations. You're able to increase rents. Jack, you want to talk about the tile and all those things, just to give the.
Jack, yeah, when you're available, please go ahead. And the first question I see is, will every investor be a part of Cove LLC or part of Sasta Capital? Actually, this one is not a fund of funds. Even though I talked about Sasta Capital, don't get confused. You will be directly investing into the Cove LLC. And it is because it is only one property, actually. It doesn't have to go through my LLC. So that is the answer for that. And the next one is, all multifamily buying is happening in Houston. Everyone will be wanting to sell their properties in 3 to 4 years. Will the market crash when everyone wants to sell in 3 to 4 years? how confident are you in Houston market? I have been in real estate for so long. That's how it will feel if you are new. But like all the buying and selling has to keep on happening. And if you look at the last 30 years, just because like the yes, in the cycle every 5 years, their businesses are getting sold. It is like a business, right? And are there any other thoughts or question you want to say, Jack or Raj, about this one?
Yeah. So one thing I do want to say is that if you look at historical data, right? If the property values always goes up, right? Whether it be time value money or inflation, whatever you call that, right? Material price going up, cost of labor is going up, so on and so forth. So there always will be place, but the key ingredient for Texas is job growth, income growth, all those, which fuels the economy here. So we don't see that slowing anytime down. It probably accelerate. So we don't see an issue here.
Yeah,
Okay.
and just to add echo on Raj's comment, if you think about the COVID-19, one of the things is going to result is shortage of new development. That's the kind of class we're working in on this. So we definitely want to we keep a close eye on new development that are going on. And because of the COVID, as you know, a lot of development is either canceled or have been slowed down, either because naturally people get sick and therefore they have to self-quarantine. The city approval is getting really slow. But here's the interesting thing. The population has not slowed. People have not stopped relocating. As a matter of fact, more people are moving to Texas now from California than there were before the COVID-19. Because if you know, everything is locked down in California while Texas is open for business. So once you see that, I was in California like 3 weeks ago at LAX. It felt like a ghost town, to be honest with you. And then I'm at Houston Hobby Airport, and the entire airport is vibrant, and everybody's up and about. And of course, people are going to see this, then they're going to be like, wow, I need to move to Texas. So a lot of people are moving to Texas as a result of this COVID-19. But development is not keeping up in pace. So definitely, I don't see the bubble coming up anytime soon. Plus, also face it. One thing to also keep in mind: when you look at the COVID-19, you compare to 2018, but 2008 crash. COVID-19, if you look at those high unemployment, is only certain industries that have been affected by that. The service industry, right? The retail industry, the hospitality industry. Other industries have been doing good. As a matter of fact, they've gained more in this COVID-19. So it's not like across the board impact on every single industry. So, I therefore, in other words, long story short, I don't expect the bubble to happen anytime soon. Even if it happens, it's just they're in
So,
Texas because the
basically,
Californians are moving to Texas.
Yeah, Texas has got a lot more to go and catch up with New York, New
Yeah.
Jersey, California, and all that. So until then, it will keep on
Yeah.
being. At some point
No
of time,
doubt.
yeah. At some point of time, it won't make sense for us, right? At that time, but right now we don't see anything. And also you have seen that conservative. So we are going to give more room for the next person to buy, for them to make money as well, right? So that is the way in which we have.
And also just want to point out on an example that I gave earlier today. I just want to reemphasize on that because I think it's extremely critical. Supply and demand is extremely critical in this case. Like the example I gave earlier on today, a 1971 property where the median household income, 1 mile median household income is $40,000, selling for $200,000. You compare that to 2009 property, selling $416K per door, which means we have a long ways to go before we could fail. If there's a bubble, you're like going to see in other places than Texas.
So it is like single family home. It keeps on increasing, right? So So we don't see that at all. what is the LPGP split mean in this case of 80-20? So 80% of the profit, first 20% of the profit goes to the general partners, those who are sponsors, and rest of the 80% of the profit goes to the limited partners, those who are investors. And when we say that we are investing more than 500,000, we are also limited partners to that extent. And then on top of it, we are also general partner because we are bringing this deal to you and all that and managing the deal. And why
One
have the
small
current
value on that.
yeah,
So remember, first we want to give all your money back, and then anything else after giving your money back goes into profit kitty, and from that profit kitty is what 80-20 split value is talking about. And going back to that point that Chad was making earlier, if you look at Houston right now, it is 23,000. If you look at the demand supply in Houston, 23,000 units shortage because various things have happened, various events have happened, which people have not putting, going for new construction and creating a huge demand for apartment.
exactly?
Let's go to the next question. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Definitely, that was very valuable. And why haven't the current owners not raised the rent? So here is what is my answer, and of course, Raj may have a different answer. So during COVID, nobody was able to raise it. That's number one. Number two, anytime you need to raise the rent, you need to do some kind of a capex, like do some upgrades or whatever it is. And mostly when we do that, and we don't increase it, even though we can increase it after 5 years, we give it to the next owner who is going to come with a budget, right, for a capex budget. So that's how it is going to go. And there is always only when there is a room, people will be able to buy it as well. So that is an answer. Is there anything else you guys want to say about this question?
Only other comment to what you just said, Velu, is that also know that existing leases are in place, right? So during COVID, nobody wants to raise rents or anything like that. They keep the same lease on and write another year term. So it has to happen once the lease is once the lease is about to be renewed. That's when you can go and raise. Of course, what Value has said is, why would anybody pay more for the same thing, right? So you would have to do some capex, make it better to get that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So the connected question is, why are the sellers selling the property with so much more room to grow? Actually, if you look at 5 years from now, 3 years from now, even though there is a lot more for us to grow in this property, we will sell it and then we'll make the profit. It is like in the stock market, you have to, like realize the profit. So we have a capex budget, we spend the money and then increase the rent and increase the value to 100% and distribute it, everybody come out. So that is a cycle every 5 years. So that is why there is a lot of churning going on. And the property is also maintained well because of every time when a new owner comes, they enhance it and all that kind of stuff. And why is the rent well below the market? Why has the current owner not raised the rent? I think we have addressed that. Many times, even though the market rent is like this, if the conditions of the property, interior conditions of the property is not matching to the comparable property, then they will have to wait until do that, or the next owner will do that. That is the process. And then can you please send us the presentation document by email? Yes, it is saved in the in the portal, and I have already given you guys the link to the portal in the chat, and you can go there and you should be able to see that presentation. And where is the property located in Houston? Somebody joined late is asking where exactly. Looks like he knows Houston.
this is on the north side in Spring, Texas, which is, if you're coming from Dallas, you will hit Conroe, Woodlands, and then Spring. That's where this property is located off 45. Okay.
That's a good place. The last question is, what is the asset management fees, acquisition fees, and property management fees?
So acquisition fee is one time, which is 2%. Property management, which goes to Citygate, is 3%. and asset management is 2%.
Yeah. So beautiful. And we are at about 1 hour and 7 minutes. And thank you all very much. I really appreciate you guys. This is a wonderful opportunity, and we don't have too much of a time. And once you get into the portal, it is all easy. Once you fill it out, and it sends me a notification, and I can approve it. And then I will also save the wiring instructions and things like that over there. Thank you all very much, and please feel free to send me any further questions, or if you'd like to schedule a meeting separately. Thank you, Raj. Thank you, Jack. I really appreciate both of you guys joining the call on a Sunday, and all the participants today. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.